I mean, I've got a few things in my wallet that are down enormously, and I pretend that I don't see them because they're only in my small bag, which was like less than 5% in mine. So I don't really care. Global M2 versus Bitcoin. Every time it breaks out, Bitcoin breaks higher, obviously. So we've talked about that before. We've done that chart. We're on that chart. The business cycle is picking up. New orders are screaming higher. The business cycle is the driver of global earnings. Global earnings get recycled into risk. Recycling into risk means risk assets like small cap stocks, through to commodities, through to alts in crypto go higher. The business cycle has only just started. A number above 50 for the ISM is expansion of the business cycle. We've just had our first print since God knows when of this going on the upside through 50. The last time was 2020. So we've got the cycle to play out. We are nowhere near the peak in the cycle, which I'll come to in a sec. New orders, less inventories. This is a 3-month lead, screaming even higher. The business cycle is going to pick up fast. And financial conditions, the dollar, oil, rates, they say, well, it should go to at least 55.6, but that would be low for the ISM because guess what? We think the dollar goes lower, rates go lower, and oil goes lower. So that should push this up into the 60s, which extends the cycle further. So we're at least 9 months away from a cycle peak. So it is very interesting where we are. It is all very positive. When we look at the overbought, oversold indicator of where we are in the cycle with crypto, we're nowhere near overbought. We're just starting. Bitcoin, every time the ISM peaks, Bitcoin peaks. When the ISM breaks 50, Bitcoin accelerates. We are at the acceleration phase, not the peaking phase. Anybody who tells you otherwise is a fucking moron. So we're at the acceleration phase. We've got liquidity coming. The ISM is not going to peak until the end of the year, maybe even into 2026. There is nothing, literally nothing to concern yourself. Here's the ISM and a kind of detrended, some fancy thing that Julian does with this. Gives you a pricing model of Bitcoin. I mean, if the ISM goes up to 60, where it should be going, I mean, we're talking Bitcoin in the 250, 350, whatever thousand level. We ain't even started. Oh, and altcoins will outperform Bitcoin. Here's altcoins percentage of total market cap. Now, I've shown you this chart maybe 58 billion times, and you forget it every time. I don't know what drugs you guys are taking, but maybe a little less, so to increase your memory bandwidth would be somewhat helpful to me because it's tiring to show you the same chart and you forget it every second.
Raoul Pal is warning all Bitcoin holders that there appears to be market manipulation and foul play at hand here. The crypto crash is merely a phase and not the reality of the potential of something like Bitcoin. Could this be the cycle top, or is it just another pit stop on Bitcoin's relentless ascension? As the market hangs in a delicate balance, these high-stakes predictions send ripples through the corridors of finance, setting the stage for a dramatic showdown. Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy Crypto.
Cryptocurrency exchange Bybit disclosing on Friday that it was hacked in what could be the largest crypto heist ever. Join us right now to discuss the crypto market and what's just happened. Anthony Pompliano is the founder and CEO of Professional Capital Management and author of How to Live an Extraordinary Life. This week, Anthony is hosting New York Bitcoin Investor Week, which we'll get to as well. Good morning. So how much should we worry about the safety or security, if you will, of crypto after this situation?
Well, look, anytime that you have a hack, people obviously get worried about this. But the way that I describe it, the Treasury and the Fed has never been hacked. The further you get away from the creation of the money point, then you get less secure. Banks have been hacked, armored cars have been hacked, or people have had money stolen from their wallet. Same thing in crypto. The blockchain itself, the Bitcoin blockchain has never been hacked. But if you go and you take that and you put it in an exchange or you put it in some sort of custody solution, those can get hacked. And so I think it's important to pay attention to. The most impressive part to me, though, was this was a $1.4, $1.5 billion hack. Customers obviously were worried. They ran to the exchange. They withdrew $4 billion. No problem. And so obviously the exchange had the money.
Right.
Usually what we've seen is when these things happen, the exchange gets caught, not having the money or there's some sort of issue. But I think that really the system kind of worked how it was supposed to, and now they're going to work to try to recover that $1.4 billion that was taken from them.
What are you thinking right now, just in terms of price of Bitcoin? We keep looking at it. It's off the highs. Some people had talked about it going to $250,000, $500,000, $1 million. Where are we on that journey, if that journey is right? We've had other people come on and say there's a floor at 70,000, and we still have these big debates about strategic reserves being built, but we also have big questions about what the Federal Reserve is going to do.
So I think if you look trend, not specifics, right? Everyone's going to come out with these price targets. I have no clue where the price is going to go in terms of exact number. But what I do know is that in these bull markets historically, we've seen very big drawdowns. In 2017, Bitcoin went up about 20x, but there were 6 different drawdowns of 30% on the way to that 20x in a single year. What we've seen lately is actually those drawdowns are much more muted. So you're getting about 15% drawdowns. And so what that tells me is, one, there's a persistent bid for people who want Bitcoin. But second is that there likely is going to be less volatility to the upside as well.
Right.
Now, the beauty of Bitcoin is that less volatility to the upside means that maybe we go up 10x off the bottom.
As we delve into the heart of this financial frenzy, it's clear that Bitcoin's meteoric rise has everyone talking. Marcus Thielen, for example, draws parallels between the current meme coin buzz and past bullish behavior surrounding DeFi and NFTs. His stance is tinged with caution as he muses over the gravity of what could be a wavering foundation beneath this digital gold rush. Could this be the end of the bull run, as he predicts?
Finally, it's acting like something that almost could be used as a currency, because it's been 95,000 basically for 8 weeks. Do you think if the Fed doesn't cut this year, is there any reason for Bitcoin to go out? It's so, I mean, it just, to me, it looks like every time it looks like an easing cycle is coming, that's when it goes. And when it looks like it isn't, even though it's counterintuitive because you get a hot inflation number. That's why you supposedly own things like gold and Bitcoin because of inflation. But a hot inflation number means the Fed doesn't cut. So,
Yeah.
and then Bitcoin goes down.
Yeah, there was this great study done by this guy, Sam Callahan, and what he basically said was Bitcoin is the most sensitive asset to global liquidity. So global liquidity is really, really important to pay attention to.
Well, that's just a risk-on thing.
To a point. Now, the other thing I'm paying attention to is this idea that's being popularized by Jim Bianco, which is the Mar-a-Lago Accord. And basically the idea is that the dollar's too strong, and instead what we're going to use is we're going to use tariffs, we're going to go and we're going to use the sovereign wealth fund, and then we're also going to get payment for security. Those 3 things, the general idea is to reduce the debt, get interest rates down, and weaken the dollar. If you're able to do that, I think that would be very good for Bitcoin and for stocks. And so the question is, how successful are they going to be in implementing this plan? We know the sovereign wealth fund is coming. We know that they're implementing the tariffs. Can they get the payment for security in Europe is another question. But I think that these are all things that they're trying to do, and that would be good for asset prices.
The SEC dropping its case against Coinbase. How significant is that in terms of what you think is a relatively, I imagine, hands-off policy at minimum for the crypto industry, at least for the next 3.5 years?
Yeah. So Coinbase specifically, I don't think many people were not buying Coinbase stock because they had this lawsuit going on, or this regulatory issue. And when the lawsuit was dismissed, you didn't see a big pop in the price or anything. So I don't think that from a company perspective, people were really worried about it. It was kind of par for the course. If you were a public company in crypto, you likely had a tussle with the regulators. But what I do think it does is it signifies a changing of the guard, right? You're going to drop this and they're saying, hey, moving forward, we're going to create clear rules and regulations. We want to actually encourage this innovation. We want to be supportive of the industry. And so the dropping of that case is
and that's
a
in large
big
part because the industry decided to support Trump and put a lot of money into this administration.
Look, one of the
behind this administration.
Yeah, one of the weird things about, I think, business and finance is people have become much more political. And when I get asked why did people become more political, I always say that I don't think business and finance people were more interested in politics all of a sudden. I think what happened is that politics and regulators started to meddle in business and finance, and those people realized either we start to participate here or we're going to get steamrolled.
Meanwhile, Raoul Pal has something else to say about the matter. Drawing on historical wisdom, Pal reminds us that similar corrections have punctuated the past, often accompanied by a chorus of alarmist headlines. He thinks it is a normal market correction and nothing more than just a pit stop before the big Bitcoin surge that is coming soon. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
Because clearly the money is what's had a huge impact, right? There was not a lot of money going into, the Biden administration, and they had whatever their view was of crypto. Now there's an administration that had a lot of money put behind it.
Yeah, money in politics is a really interesting thing because on one hand, you have the person who actually raised less money and spent less money became the president in this election. But on the other hand, definitely money is something that is going to change people's mind. But I think that the more important thing for Trump and his administration is that they all actually own these assets. If you go through the cabinet, if you go through a lot of the nominations, they own Bitcoin. And so
is that not trouble you, though? Because I think that you and others have come out quite publicly and said, there have been questions about Nancy Pelosi and her husband and questions about all sorts of folks in Congress who have owned different stocks or assets. And people have said this is totally wrong and totally conflicted. Now this administration owns all of these assets, and everyone's like, it's fine. And actually, it's a good thing because they understand it better now.
So that's the double-edged sword, right? I actually don't think people have a problem with politicians owning stocks. One of my favorite stats is Ken Langone once gave an interview, and he said that his average holding period is 42 years. People aren't really worried about what decisions he's making on a day-to-day basis. I think the problem that people have is when you're actually actively trading around certain events that are occurring. So it's the action of trading versus just holding for a long term. Same thing with Bitcoin is if we have people who are actively trading Bitcoin based on different things that politicians are doing, I think that would be a problem. But if people are just buying, holding, dollar cost averaging into...
How do you feel about meme coins then? President and the president's wife?
Yeah, I think that meme coins are a pretty big distraction from what actually is going to end up being the work that people need to focus on. And you see that, Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, I don't see anyone talking about putting meme coins in there. I think that there is an understanding that there's kind of an entertainment angle to a lot of this industry. But the really serious people, the people who want to go and actually have a positive impact on the country and on the economy, they're focused on Bitcoin.
The scene is set for an electrifying end to this chapter in Bitcoin's saga, with forecasts peppered with optimism and cautious anticipation. The stock teeters at the edge, a pressing invitation for investors to seize the day or watch from the sidelines. But what do you think? Share your thoughts. And finally, if you would like to know more about cryptocurrencies or specifically Bitcoin, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.